Miguel Iturrate and Devin Miller, the CRP's MMA team, back here with some news. The UFC 237 card continues to fill out, and we recently got the confirmation that BJ Penn, the UFC legend, will be returning to fight Clay Guida. Guida, another sort of UFC legend, not quite on the same pedestal, but he's been around for a huge, long amount of time, a real veteran. So this matchup is going into the main part of the card for UFC 237. That fight is scheduled for May 10th, and the site is set to be in Brazil. Dev, how do you see this matchup with BJ? To be honest, I don't know if I want to see BJ back. Do you?
Well, that's my biggest question going into this is just why? Why is he doing this? Why does he keep doing this? I think if he loses this fight, he's going to break the record for the longest losing streak in the UFC. And, you know, I hate to see that with somebody that gave us so many good memories. And, you know, you got newer fans that have just became fans of the UFC in the past 5 years or so who don't understand why BJ Penn's lifted up the way he is, because all they've seen is him losing. And back in the day, he was just an iconic fighter, such a transcendent star. And Clay Guida's a longtime veteran. Clay Guida's a very aggressive, just animal-style fighter. And BJ's not. He doesn't need money. He's always been, you know, an affluent man. He doesn't need it for his legacy because, I mean, his legacy's set in stone. There's really all he's doing at this point is hurting his legacy. So this is really just to roll the dice one more time, it seems like. It seems like he's just trying so hard to get the thrill of getting a win inside the octagon again before he retires.
And it really is a shame in terms of what you said. His legacy is sort of set in stone. I say sort of because this is really a black mark. This is the Roy Jones of MMA, is so to speak, you know, to take a decorated boxing champion who really has damaged his legacy with a lot of activity past his prime. In Guida, they may have found the right opponent. Guida 37 now, and as you mentioned, with that hyperactive style of his, at 37, how much can he really bring? So maybe with him and BJ, you get a tactical battle of two older guys, and you get a little bit of a entertaining fight out of it. But as you said, the why factor on this one is big. Perhaps it's a retirement fight for both of them. BJ with a loss, he's closing in on getting close to a 500 career record, and that's real damage to a legacy.
Yeah, I think it's terrible, and it doesn't do him justice. This is the guy who fought Lyoto Machida at 205, and he's also fought as low as 145 pounds. He was a two-division UFC champion. He had that great championship run the second time around at 55, and on such memorable performances. And I hate to see this, but I mean, he's already been in there and got submitted in the first round by Ryan Hall and got beat by guys like Dennis Seaver and got destroyed by Yair Rodriguez and Corey McDonald, so many different guys. It's really been depressing to watch, and pretty much nobody is cheering this on at this point. And I hate to see, and we've seen this time and time again of guys who want to go out on their own terms, and it comes back to bite them, and they do more damage to their legacy than what they realize. So I'm not too excited for this fight. I'm going to expect Clay Guida to win. Just from what I've seen recently, I think Guida's got more in the tank left than what BJ does. But one can only hope that win or lose, this BJ will finally hang up the gloves.
You know, going back through a little bit of BJ's legacy, he's a guy that, with his Jiu-Jitsu World Championship, had a reputation even before his MMA career started. He entered and debuted in the UFC, which not a lot of fighters have been able to do, especially when you go back to the era of UFC 31 where he debuted. So he was a special fighter and someone earmarked for talent right away. He came into the UFC. He beat Joey Gilbert. Joey Gilbert, a decorated wrestler out of Michigan with, he was starting his MMA career at the time as well. Joey Gilbert out of Chicago once trained Clay Guida, or they may still train together at times, but they definitely were from the same camp earlier on in their career. So there's a tie back all the way to BJ's first fight in May of 2001. After that, he took on veteran Dean Thomas. We just saw Dean Thomas in the corner of Tyrone Woodley this last UFC. Dean Thomas, back in his fighting days, was an opponent for BJ. Then the great Kauno fight where he knocked out the Japanese star in 10 seconds. Later on, he gave it back a draw. So just from the top of his career, BJ was always a fighter of interest, and now not so much. That really should be something that puts an alert in the BJ camp, because this is, this is really kind of low for you. I wish, and no disrespect to Clay. Clay's a great veteran, but, I don't know if risking a 13th or 14th career loss on your record is really worth it for whatever you're doing. So the UFC's announced BJ Penn versus Clay Guida for May 10th, the UFC 237 in Brazil. Dev, any final thoughts?
No, I think we covered it all pretty much on this, but we'll have a lot more to say about this card in the future.
I think Dev made an interesting prediction, predicting that Clay Guida will open a favorite, and that will be interesting to see. We'll keep an eye out and inform you later on when the lines pop up at the books. I'm Miguel Iturrate. He's Dev Miller with the CRP's MMA team.